And then the other big thing in comedy happened just after we dropped last week's episode, so a few days late, but we can't. We got to talk about it because it's still making waves and headlines. Katt Williams on Shannon Sharpe, Club Shay Shay, with just, I think, the best podcast performance ever. I called it the biggest ever. I think I had Googled the biggest Rogan and Musk podcast, and I thought I saw it said that it had 33 million views. I think I saw in a bunch of comments that one of his interviews had like 67. I think there was multiple parts. So listen, if Rogan and Musk did 67 million views on a podcast, of course that's the biggest podcast ever. But when you factor in that, I think that interview sucked, and I can't think of anything other than the smoking meme that came out of it. Whereas Katt Williams had like 35 headlines come out of this thing. I think it's the greatest appearance that anybody has made on a podcast ever, and I love it because it's got truth and it's got some not truths, I think. And
Club Shay Shay, to a quick aside, is the worst name for a podcast ever.
But I think it kind of plays.
Yeah.
Like I think that
I realize I'm throwing a stone from inside a glass house, but like,
yeah. Club Shay Shay probably is definitively better than KFC Radio.
You're not at a
because
club.
At least it makes you. No, but it's like, it's like you're in my club, like little Club Shay Shay. It's not like we're in the club.
Yeah, it's like you're on a radio show.
I think Shannon Sharpe has done one of the best jobs with taking the ball and running with it. Like as soon as the Unc thing came about, like, oh, that's Uncle Sharpe, like that's Uncle Shannon.
Yeah.
He became like, I'm gonna be a cultural, I don't want to say icon, but like he's not a sports analyst anymore. He's not just a hot take artist. He has become like a guy that people want to sit down with, want to be interviewed by, all that shit. But Katt Williams, I don't know like if he reached out to Shannon Sharpe or like how this came about, but this felt like a man on a mission. I don't think he came in there being like, we'll just chop it up. Oh, whoops, I burned the whole fucking thing down.
I think I would not. It wasn't Steve Harvey. One of the other, who's the other comedian he went after right away?
Cedric?
Cedric. I think Cedric was on it recently.
Yeah.
And Cedric said something, so I'm guessing Katt was like,
yeah. He definitely kept saying like, I'm only speaking on these guys because they've all been on your show and either like brought me up or told lies about me. But then I feel like a bunch of other people caught strays. Not all these people went on Shannon Sharpe's podcast. Little funny aside, we were supposed to have Katt Williams on like maybe like 6 months ago. It was over the summer.
Was it over the summer? I thought it was longer than that.
Whatever it was, like within the past year, there was like multiple times where Katt Williams was like almost locked and then locked, but then canceled, and then we moved it and whatever. And not that he would have sat down with us and done all this, but when I saw 22 million views in like 2 days, I was like, boy, I really wish we locked that interview in. That would have been good. But I do think it's a perfect storm of like, he said all that because of the setting, because of the timing, because of the show, because of the host, because of what the other people had said. But man, he pulled no punches. And I think the general reaction is a lot of people being like he told no lies.
Yeah.
And I think, which is weird. Like I think it's weird when you pepper in some of the other stuff. Like I could run a 4.240.
Well, then he did it, Kevin.
He did?
Yes. He did a 4.7 now. He's older, but he...
Whoa. When did he do that?
That's the most impressive thing about this whole podcast.
I saw him running against that white chick. When was this?
He's like 2 days ago?
Oh my God, I missed this.
Yeah, no, this is the headline of the podcast. It was a 4.7 something.
Hell yeah. Okay, so I was about to say...
Oh,
4.47! And we know that was 40 yards. Yeah, he's on a basketball court. Dude, it's funny because it's still like he looks a little goofy, but he's flying. Bro, I didn't know that he did that. Okay, because my point was going to be, as soon as you start, look at that head down. You know, he's got an older gentleman's hairline, and he's still flying. I was going to say, once you start lying about one or two things, it lets people be like, well, maybe that was a lie, maybe that was a lie. Once you go out there and you prove one of your more, ridiculous claims. Now
8,000 books in a year might be. We'll see. That one. Maybe, I think it's 8.
It was the fact that it was it's like 8 books a day.
8 books a day.
It's tough.
That's a lot.
4,240, which we'll cross that off the list. 3,000 books a year, and I could have gone to college at 7. We're gonna need an admissions statement or something to prove that one.
I don't know, man. Never mind. The fucking
believe it all.
Both those. If you're running a 4.4 at like 55, whatever he is,
I'll take it.
I'll take it. Whatever you say, man.
Yeah.
I believe you.
But more importantly, it's like he said something that my favorite part of the whole thing when he was like, everybody's an individual and everybody has their own personality and their own quirks about them, but in reality, there are 5 or 6 types of people in this world, and you see them everywhere you go, in every industry, in every setting, in everything. And I was like, God damn it, that isn't the truth. Where it's like at work with friends, in this scenario, in that scenario, there's just like this guy is the asshole, and this guy is the ass kisser, and this guy is the snake, and this girl is that. And I feel like when you are what Katt Williams has done is just really, I think, sounds like not been any of those people and like actually been just himself. And when you're 50 whatever and when you are completely, it sounds like completely independent, like I do my specials, I'm not beholden to any comedy group, to any label, to any studio, to any anything. And eventually 52. And like this has probably been bubbling up for, I don't know, 30 fucking years. And he just let the chopper sing, bro. He said it about everybody.
He is like, I almost feel he's kind of like a Joe Coy thing where, actually, I don't know. It might be a black-white thing where like white people don't realize
how successful he is.
Yeah.
Well, that was an interesting part of his show too. He said when I started out, or at least I don't know about started, but at some point he was like, Shannon Sharpe asked, when did you get to the West Coast? And he said, when before I was on the West Coast, I was more popular with white audiences than black.
Really?
And so he said he moved to Sacramento. Sacramento is like exactly 50-50 black and white. And he performed there. He wanted to be good with the black community. Yeah. So he didn't like the fact that the white crowds liked him better. So he went to Sacramento. And he performed there for 2 years until he got like 50-50. And then he moved to Oakland and was like, I'm going to try to make sure black communities, like black crowds, love me. And he did that. So
he was.
But I would agree that right now I don't think white people.
Yeah, I think white people are like, well, oh, what happened to Katt Williams? Like, yeah. Like the. And I'm just as guilty, kind of. Like I found out. I never watched Atlanta, so I didn't know he won an Emmy for that.
Yep.
I guess I am exactly what he was avoiding.
But don't you think that's kind of what he's talking about? Like, I think if he went the route of what it sounds like some of the Steve Harveys and whatever, the general vibe he was talking about of like selling your soul and being in this like consortium of fucking, he made it sound like a crew of like supervillains, but like
white people.
Yeah, yes, that's basically what I'm saying is like those guys did all that and got in and became household names relatively with white people and the general like everybody, and he could have done that and didn't. And so, yeah, people like me and you maybe don't understand like how prolific and how great he was, but I don't think he really cares about that at the end of the day.
I mean, his special,
he's got 12, bro.
in the green suit I remember the first joke where I was like, oh, I like comedy, and that was Jon Stewart the one time he hosted SNL, and then his special might be the first time where I was like, I didn't like fall. I didn't get like as obsessive about it until till a little later. But that I remember watching that at my buddy's brother's house, and we were sitting on his brother's bed, and like he's like, you gotta see this Katt Williams thing, and I watched, and I was like, I cried for an hour straight.
Yeah,
like, it was insane.
It's so fucking.
That
funny.
is the poor little tink and stuff like that. Like that one I thought was so good where I was like, okay, I didn't realize, even like seeing the Jon Stewart on SNL, like I didn't realize like it was a career kind of deal. Like I don't know what year it came out, but I was probably early teens, maybe even younger than that, and it was. But then I guess again that was when he had a white crowd. It was my white friend showing me,
sure,
and then he moved to Oakland. I remember, moved to Sacramento, and then
I mean,
I know I didn't really follow him that closely after that.
When he said your specials aren't good enough for Netflix or Tubi,
It's actually jeans and a green jacket.
and then repeated that. Tubi is just poor Tubi. Tubi gets no respect.
No respect.
Tubi
It's
gets
so funny.
no respect, man. But like, it's got to just be very satisfying. I think the ultimate level is like when you achieve the level of success he did without really like compromising yourself is one level. To then go out there, publicly say that, burn it down, and be totally okay is the true level.
Yeah.
Because you could be like, well, like, all right, maybe you did it, but like now you're blackballed or now you're fucked, and it's like, no, most of the audience loved it. I think a lot of his peers are kind of like,
He sweats so much.
yeah, well, he puts on a fucking show, bro. He's up there fucking. I mean, he's he is a showman for sure. The fact that you can do that and then it comes across like well and not bitter and more like genuine, and I mean, it's like I said, I think it's the greatest fucking appearance ever.
What you're saying something where you were like he nothing happened, nothing like he had no backlash or whatever. I'd say the exact opposite happened, where he's had so many comedians come out and be like, yeah, Katt took care of me.
Right.
Like some no name, some bigger names, some middle of the road names being like, I've read or listened to probably 5+ stories from comedians being like, I was doing something at Caroline's, I was doing something at the Cellar, I was doing something at the Comedy Store, and like Katt would just be like, yo man, great set, and dap me up, and then they were all of them to a person. They're like, I didn't want to be rude, so I didn't look, and then later at night I went to get a slice of pizza and realized he gave me $3,000. Or
Oh wow.
Devin Cole, I think it was.
Holy shit.
Like they would it was all people who like opened for him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, it's $100 spot, and Katt would give me thousands of dollars. Like every person is saying that. And Devin Cole,
the fucking man, dude.
Devin Cole said the next person to interview him, ask him how much money he's given away in his life, because he's like, he'll never tell you. No one knows. Every time he's like, I think Devin Cole, the pizza story might have been Devin Cole's, but there were a couple other comedians who like tweets I was reading or screenshots of their tweets of people being like, look at the receipts that people have for Katt, and like everyone is like, Katt was my guy.
I mean, I had a couple of conversations where people were like, yeah, he told no lies up there. A lot of that sounded true. Which is, like that means there are some, you got to just start to question, so many things in comedy and Hollywood and all these stories where it's just like, that's probably not how it went down at all, And even when like he said about in every walk of life, you see that, because when you start to see in regular life, it's like, oh, that's that family story that they tell, like that's not really what happened, or secrets on the internet here at Barstool, places where it's not, nearly on the same level, and it's like, oh well, of course those the tales are not really how it went down. The bit about him winning the Cedric the Entertainer award, like he won like the Cedric the Entertainer award for comedy excellence after he stole his joke and then said he didn't steal his joke, and then admitted to stealing his joke, and here he has to accept an award. Like, fuck that, man. That shit. That's probably why that whole rant happened, that exact moment. And he held on to it for a while, as long as he fucking could. And one or two people told enough lies that just pushed him over the edge. I can't imagine how good that must have felt walking out of there. What do you think feels better, when you do it and you get all of the get it all off? We're watching this a little bit of a special right now on YouTube. Or the reaction.
Wait, I'm sorry.
What do you think's better? Like the minute Club Shay Shay ended and he was just like, woo! Shannon Sharpe was probably like, holy shit, bro. Like, you just got like 30 years off your chest, or the reaction?
The reaction. I don't know, because I've never, like, I'm not as brave as Katt Williams, so I've never like been like, that's off my chest.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. Like, so few people do that.
Right.
the reaction probably feels great too, but it's probably like I bet if the reaction was bad, if people were like, oh, he's like, he's bitter and like shitting on people for no reason, I think he still would have been like, whatever, bro. I needed to fucking.
I don't know. I feel like that almost enrages you more.
Yeah.
No, I just fucking you goddamn idiots. I told you the truth this time.
Yeah.
And you fucking still aren't seeing it.
Well, I think it was just done so funny and so like a lot of it sounded very, like factual, The Kevin Hart stuff was interesting. Kevin Hart thing was kind of weird.
Industry that's one I think is a little weird too. Like industry plant gets around. And Kevin Hart's been doing this since he was 16.
I think the plant was the wrong way to go.
Yeah.
But I could see a world where when he gets so big that people were like, oh man, I used to see him at the Comedy Store in LA all the time, and it's like that. And that's not like Kevin Hart's fault. I don't think he was like lying. I could just see people like concocting this thing because it's like people want to say that, Oh yeah. I grew up with that guy, or like it's like when Francesa came in here and said Dave used to show up at his studio all the time. It's like you're either mixing up your stories or whatever. I'm sure there was some level of like people did think, oh yeah, Kev's out in LA, and it's like no, he's been on like Philly and New York like most of his career. He probably did sell out a couple shows here and there at the Comedy Store or whatever, and then people like remember that or talk about that. It was interesting that
he talked to Big J and fucking Shane, like he's a Philly guy. He's been around.
Totally.
He's right around here,
and like I think he did have a meteoric rise, but not before having like years of grinding it out.
Yeah,
it was
quick.
quick.
I'll tell you, honest, Katt would probably know more than me, but like. Yeah. From what I've heard from Philly comics, they consider
him
Kevin Hart a Philly comic.
Yeah, and I think Kevin probably to become the level that he's at.
At least to my face, I don't know.
Probably.
I guess they speak in green rooms, but in the microphones they say that.
Yeah, I feel like no Big J, the way Big J. I mean, Big J is one of the realest. He's never gonna like lie about anything, and he very much is like, and he talks about like they were on the same level, and then Kevin exploded, and I think Kev probably did. Some corporate stuff here and there to like make it to that top level. Some people do that, some people don't. I think Kevin Hart's like the definition of the way to do it with like grace and class and not be like an asshole about it. But yeah, like that's where part of it is like I don't like him making fun of Kevin Hart. I don't like him making fun of Ludacris. Why did Ludacris have to catch that stray? Why did Ludacris's wife have to catch that stray? That was really the fucked up part. Did you see Ludacris's response?
Yeah.
Did you see when he said check your temperature?
Yeah.
Checking your pulse while saying check your temperature is all time funny. I love that. But yeah, like there's a couple like I find comedy to be like sports where you pick players, people that you like, and not necessarily don't like, but it's more like this is my guy, And so then you kind of root for them, and then when someone you like is going at someone you also like, it's like, oh man, fuck, I want to be on. I want you guys to like each other, but like him making fun of like Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer doesn't like. I don't care for those guys, Other than I see them on. I mean, I did call Steve Harvey. Remember that? Remember on KFC Radio and it was like someone's about to blow up?
I think maybe like give him a phone call.
I called that Steve Harvey was going to blow up into the next. But that's got to be the harshest thing. Like when Katt Williams like he's just not a comedy writer. He doesn't do comedy anymore, and it's like that's just a fact and it's true. When he said he was like, these people can't come up with a new hour of comedy every year. I've done that 19 times. Come up with a new hour of comedy 19 years in a row. Like. Woo! I'm sure there are some people who did it like twice, and they're like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to go host a fucking daytime TV show. So, but what a great get for Shannon, though. I mean, I'm sure Club Shay Shay was doing very well. Again, demographic-wise, I'm sure it's much bigger with people not like us. And I'm sure it was... How many subscribers do you have?
2.2.
Yeah, I mean, so he's already like killing it, and he was, First Take or whichever one he's on, Undisputed, whatever it is. Not like Shannon Sharpe is like, oh, now my career is on. But from a point of view of this show, I think most people would still associate him with the Skip Bayless' shit and all that stuff. I think this, now people take note of this show, and it's a whole new world. That's got to feel so. He barely said 3 words. He would just, maybe, pop a question in there or change direction a little bit. But it was basically 3 hours of Katt Williams just saying whatever the fuck he wanted. All right, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, and leave a comment below.
Click that button.
Or I'll cut off my finger.